Welcome students. In this video, we are going to discuss the lesson My Financial Career by Stephen Leacock. Stephen Leacock was born on 30th December 1869 and he died on 28th March 1944. He was a Canadian teacher, political scientist, writer, and humorist. During the early 1900s, Leacock was the most famous humorist writing in the English language. At one point, it was said that more people had heard of Stephen Leacock than Canada. At least one source estimates that between 1910 and 1925, Leacock was the most widely read author in the English-speaking world. He is known for his light humor along with criticisms of people's follies. When I go into a bank, I get rattled. The clerks rattle me. The wickets rattle me. The sight of the money rattles me. Everything rattles me. The moment I cross the threshold of a bank, I am a hesitating jay. If I attempt to transact business there, I become an irresponsible idiot. I knew this beforehand, but my salary had been raised to $50 a month, and I felt that the bank was the only place for it. So I shambled in and looked timidly around at the clerks. I had an idea that a person about to open an account must needs consult the manager. I went up to a wicket marked accountant. The accountant was a tall, cool devil. The very sight of him rattled me. My voice was sepulchral. "Can I see the manager?" I said, and added solemnly, "Alone." I don't know why I said alone. "Certainly," said the accountant and fetched him. My Financial Career is a funny and humorous story that reflects the writer's fear whenever he entered the bank. Everything related to the bank made him nervous. He became an irresponsible idiot. One day, as the narrator got his salary increased to $50, he thought to deposit that amount in the bank that seemed to him a safe place. When he enters the bank, the sight of the clerks and the wickets make him nervous. He does not understand what he is talking or doing. He asks a clerk if he can see the manager. Alone. The manager was a grave, calm man. I held my $56 clutched in a crumpled ball in my pocket. "Are you the manager?" I said. God knows I didn't doubt it. "Yes," he said. "Can I see you?" I asked. "Alone?" I didn't want to say alone again, but without it the thing seemed self-evident. The manager looked at me in some alarm. He felt that I had an awful secret to reveal. "Come in here," he said, and led the way to a private room. He turned the key. We are safe from interruption here, he said. Sit down. We both sat down and looked at one another. I found no voice to speak. You are one of Pinkerton's men, I presume, he said. The accountant takes him to the manager, where the writer informs the manager that he wants to talk to him in solitude. Means he wants to talk to the manager alone. The manager gets anxious and looks at the writer in some alarm and takes him into a separate room. He locks the door and misunderstands that the writer had some awful secret to tell, and he might belong to some detective agency, Pinkerton. He had gathered from my mysterious manner that I was a detective. I knew what he was thinking, and it made me worse. No, not from Pinkerton's, I said, seemingly to imply that I came from a rival agency. To tell the truth, I went on, as if I had been prompted to lie about it. I am not a detective at all. I have come to open an account. I intend to keep all my money in this bank. The manager looked relieved, but still serious. He concluded, now that I was a son of Baron Rothschild or a young Gow, a large account, I suppose, he said. Fairly large, I whispered. I propose to deposit $56 now and $50 a month regularly. The manager got up and opened the door. He called to the accountant. Mr. Montgomery, he said, unkindly loud. This gentleman is opening an account. He will deposit $56. Good morning. The writer informs him that he is not from any secret agency and that he was there to just open an account. Then the manager thinks that the narrator is a millionaire like Rothschild or Gould. The manager thinks th- that he is a big businessman and wants to deposit a big amount in the bank. But he gets disappointed on hearing that the writer wants to deposit $56 only in the bank. The manager calls the accountant in a loud voice and instructs him to open an account for the writer and said the writer his goodbyes. A big iron door stood open at the side of the room. Good morning, I said, and stepped into the safe. Come out, said the manager coldly, and showed me the other way. I went up to the accountant's wicket and poked the ball of money at him with a quick, convulsive movement as if I were doing a conjuring trick. My face was ghastly pale. Here, I said, deposit it. The tone of the words seemed to mean, Let us do this painful thing while the fit is on us. He took the money and gave it to another clerk. He made me write the sum on a slip and sign my name in a book. I no longer knew what I was doing. The bank swam before my eyes. Is it deposited? I asked in a hollow, vibrating voice. It is, said the accountant. Then I want to draw a check. In his tension, the narrator enters into an iron safe, mistaking it for the door. The manager orders him to come out. Thus, the narrator makes a fool of himself. The narrator then goes up to the accountant's wicket and thrashes the ball of money that he was holding in his hand. His face had become very pale because of nervousness. He just wanted the procedure to be get over soon. So after filling the amount on a slip and signing his name in a book, finally the money was deposited in his account. My idea was to draw out $6 of it for present use. Someone gave me a checkbook through a wicket, and someone else began telling me how to write it out. The people in the bank had the impression that I was an invalid millionaire. I wrote something on the check and thrust it in at the clerk. He looked at it. What, are you drawing it all out again? He asked in surprise. Then I realized that I had written 56 instead of 6. I was too far gone to reason now. I had a feeling that it was impossible to explain the thing. All the clerks had stopped writing to look at me. Reckless with misery, I made a plunge. Yes, the whole thing. You withdraw your money from the bank? Every cent of it. Are you not going to deposit any more? Said the clerk, astonished. Never. After depositing his money, the narrator asks for a checkbook to draw out $6 from his newly opened account for present use. Someone gave him a checkbook and some other person was telling him how to write it out. After filling out the check, he gave it to the clerk. The clerk was surprised to see what was written on it. Instead of writing 6, the narrator had written $56. That means that he wants to draw $56 instead of $6. So the clerk was really surprised at this. But instead of correcting his mistake, the author went along with his mistake and asked the clerk to give all his money back. An idiot hope struck me that they might think something had insulted me while I was writing the check, and that I had changed my mind. I made a wretched attempt to look like a man with a fearfully quick temper. The clerk prepared to pay the money. How will you have it? He said. What? How will you have it? Oh, I caught his meaning and answered. without even trying to think. In 50s, he gave me a $50 bill. And the six? He asked dryly. In sixes, I said. He gave it he gave it me and I rushed out. As the big doors swung behind me, I caught the echo of a roar of laughter that went up to the ceiling of the bank. Since then, I bank no more. I keep my money in cash in my trousers pocket and my savings in silver dollars in a socks. To hide his foolish mistake, the narrator pretends that somebody has insulted him in the bank and he tries to act as a fearful man who gets angry on small things. So, without arguing, the clerk gives the narrator's money back to him. The narrator takes the money and rushes out of the bank. As the bank door was closing behind the narrator, he hears loud laughter of the bank people behind him. Since then, the narrator decides to put decides to not go to bank ever again and starts to put the cash in his trousers pocket and saving amount in his socks. And he intends to do so further in the future. Let us now discuss some question answers. The first question is, what makes the narrator nervous at a bank? The answer is the clerks, the wickets, the sight of the money rattles the writer. In short, everything in a bank makes the narrator nervous. Next question. What word should he have avoided in his request to see the manager? In his request to see the manager, the writer should have avoided the word alone. Next question. Why was the manager alarmed? The answer is the manager was alarmed because the writer told him that he wanted to meet him alone. He thought that the writer had an awful secret to reveal. Next, who did the manager think was his visitor? The manager thought that his visitor was one of Pinkerton's men. Next question. What procedure did the author have to follow to open the account? The writer have to follow the procedure to open the account is that he had to meet the accountant, write the sum on a slip, and sign his name in a book. Next question. What error did the author make in the check? Did he correct it? The answer is instead of writing the amount as only $6, the writer made a very silly error of writing it as $56 in the check, and later he did not even correct it. Next question. What decision has the author taken after the episode at the bank? So the answer is after the episode at the bank, the author decided to keep his money in cash in his trousers pocket and his savings in silver dollars in a sock. Let us now discuss some grammar questions. The first one is, the manager was a grave, calm man. Here you have to identify the word class of the underlined word. So the underlined word is grave and the word class is adjective, as the word grave describes the manager. Next, are you the manager? I said. Change to indirect speech. So the sentence is in direct speech and we have to change it into indirect speech. So the sentence will be, I asked if he was the manager. Next, we are safe from interruption here. He said. Here also you have to change this into indirect speech. So the sentence will be, he said that they were safe from interruption there. Next sentence, I knew what he was thinking. Here you have to identify the clause. So I knew is the main clause and what he was thinking is the subordinate clause and its type is noun. So it will be subordinate noun clause. Next, I intend to keep all my money in this bank. Change to past perfect continuous tense. So the sentence will be, I had been intending to keep all my money in this bank. Next, a big iron door stood open at the side of the room. Add a question tag. A big iron door stood open at the side of the room. Didn't it? Next, he gave me a $50 bill. Change the voice. So, the sentence will be, a $50 bill was given to me by him. Another form is, I was given a $50 bill by him. Thank you, students. I hope you all enjoyed the video.